Hi guys, Mike Dell here and G.I.Jolie with the Comic Book Syndicate. For the very first time ever, we are doing a live segment with our pal Mike Dell. Mike, how are you doing?
Pretty good, Mike Dell and Julie. It's good to see you.
And
All
Mike,
the way up from Canada.
Yes, we are in Canada. Why don't you tell the viewers where you are talking to us from?
I am about 40 minutes south of Pittsburgh, PA, in the United States of America.
That's amazing. And now obviously we've talked before this. We first were introduced to you because you were listening to, or you were watching our show, right? You saw our show on the interwebs, right? And you're a big comic book fan from when you were younger.
Correct.
And you have a hockey podcast, right? Do you want to tell everybody about that?
Yeah, well, I started, myself and three of my friends, back in 1994, started a hockey website called lcshockey.com. And that was like the first hockey site on the internet. We were on the internet before the NHL, before anybody. And we'll be celebrating 20 years next month. And then about 7 years ago, me and my buddy Larry, who you're friends with, you know Larry.
Absolutely. We're big fans of Larry. We wanted him to be here today, but he doesn't, Larry don't do cameras.
Yeah, he doesn't do public appearances. He's like Howard Hughes. He doesn't leave his apartment. But we've been doing a radio show for like 7 years now almost. And we do hockey and TV and movies and all kind of weird stuff. And you guys always come on as regular guests. It's great.
Well, that's right. Yeah, like you basically contacted me a couple years ago and asked me to come on, and then also G.I.Jolie, but neither one of us really know much about sports, especially me. I know less than sports about Jolie. So I was really surprised that you had us on.
Yeah, when I found your site, and like I said, or like you said, when I was young, I loved comic books. I wanted to work in comic books when I was younger. So I loved it, and I thought, oh, they're from Canada. They'll love hockey, too. And no, you know nothing about hockey.
Yeah, well, okay. He knows nothing about hockey. I grew up watching hockey. I know about as much as he does, but I actually will entertain the idea of watching the sport. Like, if it's on.
Look at the score. That counts, yeah.
Oh, no, it's actually a really fun game. I tried to play Ringette. It just didn't work out, though.
Yeah. So what are you guys doing at a sports and recreation show?
It's actually a sport and hobby expo.
Oh, okay.
So what they've done is they've covered pretty much sport and hobby, the wide gamut. I mean, we're here with Hackforge. There's robotics teams from high schools. There's some guy selling like a really good beef jerky. Carmichael's is over there. It's delicious.
I was a little worried Mike Dell was going to get stuffed in a locker at some point. But.
Not yet. No, it's funny. Yeah, they've stuck us in the geek zone, but
it's like a big locker.
They like to keep us segregated here, apparently. You know.
And what's the reception been like for you comic book kids? Has it been warm and embracing? Everyone love you?
It's actually been really amazing. A lot of the comments that we've been getting from other exhibitors and from just people walking around is that like our area, it's like separated into three giant, they use the rinks as convention halls. Our hall has been the busiest as far as everyone else has been telling me.
So you're in a hockey rink right now?
Yeah, we're standing on ice.
Yes, we are.
Covered ice. Is freezing in here.
I'm proud of you, Mike.
This is the first time I've been on a hockey rink since I was a little kid, if you can believe that.
All right, well, let's get to something you do know. Comic books. Let's talk some comics.
Well, you know what? It's funny because, here you go, thanks, Jolie. We actually, we've been digging through some of the dealers here. There's Kamikaze over there. And I managed to dig up a few comics that I think you might be interested in.
Mike, did you actually purchase these comics or did you borrow them?
You know, these are actually all mine. I'm just pretending that I bought them, but... Okay, here we go, Mike. You tell me if you remember this, okay? This is you're an 80s boy, right? You grew up in the 80s.
Yeah, I was born in 75.
Oh, there you go. You're older than me. You're the American Mike Dell, right? Okay, here we go. Do you remember this? Remember M.A.S.K?
Yeah, that was a cartoon. That was a TV show when I was a kid.
You got it. Well, this comic happens to be drawn by famed Superman artist Curt Swan. I don't know if you're a big Superman fan, but after Curt Swan was sort of ousted from Superman, he really couldn't find a lot of work, and so he was stuck doing toy tie-ins like this. But this, because of his art, it's actually a really good comic. And so I've actually picked up a few of these issues, and let me tell you, they're a good read. What do you remember about M.A.S.K?
Yeah, I forget the exact plot, but I seem to recall it's kind of like a ripoff of Transformers in a way. Didn't it? Like they have cars that like changed or something?
Basically,
or?
yeah, the cars would turn, like this car can turn into a jet, this car can turn into a tank. Yeah, basically that's it.
Snake oil?
Yeah, so they would, and this was like a gas station that was like the headquarters of M.A.S.K, right? So M.A.S.K stood for Mobile Armored Strike Command, and they would fight Venom, which stood for, I don't know what, very evil something. I can't remember what it was, but anyway, great comic.
They spelled command with a K. That seems odd.
Yeah, well, things were different back in the 80s, as we all know, right? Okay, let me just see here. I hope you remember this one. These are all toy tie-ins, so I'm sure you remember this one. Do you remember Thundercats?
Of course. I was just going to mention them when you brought up M.A.S.K, because I was like, they was on the same time around Thundercats. I never watched Thundercats. I didn't really care for it at all, but really? I remember it.
Well, I'll have you know, this comic was written by David Michelinie, famed for writing Spider-Man in the late 80s with Todd McFarlane on art.
Yeah.
David Michelinie actually created Venom.
Yep.
So while he was writing Spider-Man, he was also doing Thundercats for Marvel Comics. So you never checked out that cartoon, eh?
No, I never liked it. There was a kid down the street who really enjoyed it, and he was kind of, he was annoying, so I didn't like Thundercats. I connected the two together. I said, that kid likes Thundercats, Thundercats can't be good.
Ruined by association.
That's how my brain works.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to dig deep here, okay? I don't know if you remember this toy. Do you remember Visionaries?
No, I don't know Visionaries either. Is this a Canadian toy, or is this America? Did it cross the border?
Toy, yeah. These were guys that had these holograms on their chests, okay? But in the cartoon, the holograms represented magic, but obviously the toy, the hologram was just a hologram. But, yeah, that's another toy tie-in. Yeah. Only one issue ever made. Drawn by...
Seems about right.
Yeah, it seems about right, exactly. Drawn by Mark Bagley, who went on to do Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yes.
Yeah, I know that guy. Yeah.
So this is the last one. Do you remember this movie? You read that?
Oh yeah, the Superman ripoff with Shaquille O'Neal, right?
Exactly.
Do you remember back in the 70s they had a comic book, Muhammad Ali versus Superman? Remember that? That was real famous.
Yes, I actually own a copy. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was probably like the most famous sports tie-in that I can remember with comic books. And I remember Todd McFarlane drew a comic with Spider-Man, like a special one-off about hockey back in the 90s.
Oh, was it called Skating on Thin Ice?
I think it was.
Yep, I used to have a copy of that too, yeah. You know what, they used to put out little like one-offs back then, like they'd have one about, whatever, child abuse, then they'd have another one about drug use, kidnapping, whatever.
Yeah, I forget what that one was about, but I think it was drug abuse, or maybe child abuse or something like that. I don't know, I can't remember.
I don't remember. Those ones are always fun. There's also, the famous one, Superman Meets the Quick Bunny. That's another good one,
Yeah.
So, but anyway, okay, so how about this? What's coming up on your show, and the next few episodes of your show?
Well, I think next week on our show, a fella from Canada named Mike Dell is coming up on the show.
Well, check that out. Nice. Again, are people sick of me yet?
No, everyone loves you.
I got nothing new to talk about. Well, we'll see. Maybe I do.
Yeah, we'll figure something out.
Yeah. But, is Larry going to be there on that one?
Larry will be there. Yeah.
Okay.
He's looking forward to it.
There was a brief time when you guys stopped doing the show, right? For a few months, didn't you?
Yeah, a lot of legal lawsuits, that kind of thing. No, Larry just needs to take a break every once in a while. And I think I needed it as well, but yeah.
What's funny is Jolie and I have been talking about, setting something up so we can meet, you guys come here, we go there. Yeah. But the funny thing is, we were actually surprised to learn you actually haven't seen Larry in person for, 3 years or something?
Well, I saw him about maybe 4 months ago, but we see each other like maybe once a year at tops. That's about it.
And what's the reason?
We live about 40 minutes away, and we're both really lazy. We're like shut-ins. We don't like to leave the house.
Now, what about, are you been seeing any of the comic book movies? You had said you hadn't seen any of the super movies that have come out so far this year, eh?
I haven't seen any of the new ones, although the other night on HBO I caught the end of Man of Steel. Was that the new one?
Yeah,
the
that
new
was the
Superman
one from last year. What did you think of that?
I didn't like it at all. And the thing that I thought was really corny was the action sequences. I don't know if you remember, but they like sped them up into like fast motion. It was like the monsters or something they were fighting. And it was just silly. I didn't like it at all.
It's funny, ridiculous. I don't remember them speeding it up. I just thought it was kind of a dreary, kind of humorless movie, and then what did you think about Superman doing the infamous where he snaps General Zod's neck. What'd you think of that?
You know what? I don't even remember seeing that. Now that you mention it.
Oh. It was at the end of the movie in the train station.
Yeah, you know what? I think I turned the channel before that even got there. I was like,
Well, never a good sign when you can't even get to the end of a movie, right?
And the action sequences were so repetitive. Like, they kept doing the same thing over and over, like throwing them into buildings and watching the concrete, like, shatter and, like, split and stuff. And it's like, oh, come on. It's just enough. Stop it.
Didn't it kind of feel like the movie was done, it was in the can, and then they were like, you know what? The ending's not exciting enough. Let's just throw some stuff in there to fill up the ending to make it more exciting.
That's right, just filling time, just killing time. None of the action had anything to do really with plot or to advance characters. It was just empty, mindless action. And what about Russell Crowe? Like, I didn't see the whole film again. I caught like the last 20 of the last 30 minutes or whatever, but I thought he was terrible as well. I don't know, it's just weird.
I never liked Russell Crowe, so I think he's always terrible. So, and the funny thing about Jor-El is that it's like the guy dies, he's dead, he's been dead however long, yet he can come back as this computer program that can still interact with Superman. So really, he's not dead. It's like, what's the point of that? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
He can still help him. He can still intervene. He can still. I didn't like that. Now, what about the other superhero movies that are coming up? Like, what do we got? The next one coming up for us is Transformers. Are you excited about that?
No, I haven't seen any of them except the first one, and I thought the first one was better than I expected, and it had Megan Fox, so that's always a plus. But the thing I hated about it was the robots all looked alike. I couldn't tell one from another. Like, I couldn't see their face. I couldn't make out their faces. The great thing about the Transformers, the toys when we were growing up, they're all very colorful, very distinctive. They all had their own personalities, and I thought that first movie, they were all just a bunch of walking metal. I couldn't tell one from another.
Yeah, that was definitely my least favorite part of that movie. Like, I didn't like the Mikes. I didn't grow up with the Transformers, so it was really disappointing to see that they didn't look anything like the toys that I researched before the movie, and they just look like
you did research.
Yeah, they look like hunks of scrap metal. Like, I'm familiar, Optimus Prime's face is very, like, pronounced.
Yeah.
And, well, he looks like a cartoon truck. These didn't look like cartoon trucks. They looked like robots. Well, I mean, they're robots, but they look like...
Well, they didn't look like when they turned into the robots, it's like you couldn't tell what they were turning in, like what they were transforming from.
Yeah.
It's not like you could see the grill from the truck.
It's as if it was
tire.
a human.
That's
right. It's like he was more concerned with making them look like humans covered in shards of metal.
Shards of metal, yeah. And you know what's
That's
funny, Mike? What you said is you hit the nail on the head. They had no discernible personalities. Their voices all sounded the same. They looked the same. And even if let's just say someone did like the movie, even on that level, if you can't tell who any of the characters are, what's the point, right? Because at least with the old show, even though it was a kiddie show, at least you knew.
Now,
did
the later movies get any better?
No, they're all terrible. In fact, most people think the second one's the worst one. I think they're all equally bad. But there's one more comic book movie. Oh, there's one more comic book movie coming out that we want to talk about that we're going to review. Guardians of the Galaxy. Do you know anything about this?
Yeah, I never... Well, I reviewed the old Guardians of the Galaxy for your website, the 76 version of them.
Yeah, that's right.
And I knew nothing about this movie until I started seeing the trailers. And at first I thought this movie was going to just be terrible. But then, I don't know, it seems to be getting a good buzz, right? It seems to be kind of funny and everything.
Well, I give them props at least to trying something different, right? Like with Rocket Raccoon and, the big Groot guy or whatever his name is.
Okay, so you guys are familiar. This is another comic book that I'm not familiar with. Are they supposed to be kind of like send-up type characters that are kind of ridiculous and funny, or is that something that they're doing for the movie?
That's a very good question.
Yeah, you've both seen the trailers, and they kind of look misfit-ish.
Some of a lot of the characters, now let's be clear, this Guardians of the Galaxy is not the original team. Like Mike said, there's a 70s version that was set in the future. I don't know, maybe 1,000 years in the future. That was a team of, people from different planets in our solar system that teamed up to form the Guardians of the Galaxy. This version's set in the present day, and yeah, I think the idea is that there's sort of like this gang of misfits, and obviously the movie, they're playing it for laughs, which I hope it works. We'll see.
He's very... Jim Gunn, is it? is the one that's doing.
Star-Lord?
Yeah.
No, is
No,
the
he's like
director.
director.
Oh, the director. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so he's very good at that kind of send up sort of.
Okay.
Humor.
So we're gonna check it out, Mike. I don't know if you are.
Now, do you remember like the Drax, Dave Bautista, that wrestler's playing Drax
Yes.
in Guardians of the Galaxy? Now, when I was a kid, wasn't Drax the Destroyer like a Silver Surfer enemy and one of those fellas?
You're absolutely right. He was in Infinity Gauntlet and Infinity War and all that stuff. Yeah, with Silver Surfer, you're absolutely right. So yeah, they've taken all these different characters and sort of just smushed them together into this team. So
yeah, I might give it a whirl. I really want to see Captain America still, the second one. I haven't seen that one yet, and of course the new X-Men. I guess I could try and go see that.
Both.
And you guys like them both, right?
Yes, both surprisingly good. Not masterpieces, but both, surprisingly good. Definitely worth seeing.
Oh,
Yeah.
I've only seen the X-Men film. I still have not finished Cap.
Yeah, definitely a good film though, an improvement. We highly recommend it. Everyone on the Syndicate does.
Yeah. Good to hear.
Okay. We've got alligators here. We've got kangaroos. We've got to go pet. So we are going to get back to the show. Once again, I want to say thank you so much for coming out.
No problem. Anything I can do to help you guys out. Don't worry about it.
Absolutely. And we'll be talking to you soon then. Mike Dell, the parallel world Mike Dell from the United States of America.
Thank you.
All right. See you, Mike.